The lights flicker and then go out completely. The radiators begin to cool. The water pressure in the faucet drops to zero, and your phone screen displays a desperate search for a network signal. Do you honestly think this is just a minor glitch that will be resolved in a couple of hours? What if the main transformer substation has suffered a catastrophic failure and there will be no electricity for a week, 2 weeks, or even a month? The harsh reality is that most people are absolutely unprepared for this scenario. Their current supplies will last exactly 24 hours, and after that, widespread panic will set in. This is a cold, realistic algorithm of actions for a prolonged blackout in an urban environment, with only the technical steps that will save your life. The absolute primacy of water. Rule number 1 in any survival protocol. Water is infinitely more important than food. If water is still flowing from the tap in a thin stream, you must collect every drop immediately. Fill the bathtub, all available pots, plastic bottles, and even heavy-duty trash bags, pre-inserted into buckets for structural support. You cannot assume the local utility pumps will function without grid power for long. Once the gravity-fed reservoirs are empty, the city will go dry. Rule number 2. Preserve the cold chain. Do not open your refrigerator unless it is an absolute necessity. In a freezer, food can remain safe for up to 48 hours if it is packed to capacity. If you see empty spaces in your freezer right now, fill them with plastic bottles of water immediately. These act as thermal buffers, or cold accumulators, that will significantly slow down the temperature rise when the power fails. Rule number 3. Energy management. Immediately switch your smartphone to maximum power saving mode. Manually disable geolocation, Bluetooth, and background app refreshes. Lower the screen brightness to the minimum readable level. Do not waste precious battery calling everyone to discuss the situation. Instead, send one single SMS to your family. I am home. I am fine. Saving battery. An SMS has a much higher probability of breaking through a congested or failing network than a voice call. The strategic ration. When the supplies in the refrigerator are exhausted or spoiled, you will transition to your dry rations. Remember, during a blackout, food that requires long boiling times is your tactical enemy. But you will waste too much of your scarce water and fuel attempting to cook pasta, rice, or legumes. Your base ration must consist of canned goods, freeze-dried meals, and high-calorie protein bars. Focus on nuts, quick cooking grains like couscous, which only needs to be soaked in warm water, honey, and shelf-stable fats. When forming your food supply, calculate calories, not weight or volume. 1 can of high-quality beef or stew will provide you with more usable energy than a kilogram of empty carbohydrates. Do not forget spices, salt, and sugar. Salt is not just for taste. It is a critical electrolyte that your body will lose rapidly under high stress. Sugar serves as a fast energy source for the brain during critical decision-making. How will you cook? The ideal technical solution is a portable camping stove with a supply of isobutane canisters. One standard 8-ounce canister provides approximately 90 to 120 minutes of continuous burn time. This is sufficient to boil water twice a day for nearly an entire week. Use the stove strictly in the kitchen and always keep a window slightly open to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning, which is a silent killer in enclosed spaces. External sourcing and filtration. What happens when your home water supplies finally run dry? You will be forced to look for external sources, wells, public fountains, or even open bodies of water, like rivers or ponds. Under no circumstances should this water be consumed raw. Your technical algorithm begins with mechanical filtration. Pass the water through several layers of dense fabric or a DIY filter made from a plastic bottle filled with layers of sand, gauze, and crushed charcoal. This will remove sediment and large debris. The second stage is the destruction of pathogens. This requires either boiling the water for at least 5 minutes at a rolling boil or using specialized water purification tablets. Keep a supply of these tablets in your emergency kit. They cost very little, but will save you liters of precious stove fuel that would otherwise be consumed by the boiling process. Without a reliable way to purify water, you are 1 glass away from a debilitating intestinal infection that will end your ability to survive. The thermal cocoon. Without active heating, A concrete apartment building will freeze through in just a couple of days during winter. Your task is not to heat the entire apartment. That is physically impossible without grid power. Your task is to heat yourself. Choose the smallest room in the apartment, preferably one with no windows or minimal glass area. Close the doors to all other rooms and plug the gaps under the doors with blankets or rugs. Seal the windows with plastic film, foil, or cardboard to create a thermos effect. Inside the room, set up a small camping tent. If you do not have a tent, build a shelter out of tables, chairs, and blankets, following the principle of a fort. By sleeping in such a restricted space, you will be breathing warm air trapped by your own body heat. The temperature inside this microenvironment will be 5 to 10 degrees higher than in the rest of the room. Sleep in thermal underwear, a hat, and a high-quality sleeping bag, and use chemical hand warmers, if available. They work for up to 8 hours and are safe for indoor use. And do not forget your pets. A cat or a dog is an excellent biological heater. Let them into your sleeping bag. But remember, they also need a strategic supply of dry food and water. The information vacuum and backup power. A blackout creates a total information vacuum. To make the right decisions, you must know what is happening in the outside world. You need a battery-operated radio receiver, preferably with shortwave and FM bands, to catch news broadcasts when cell towers and internet providers go dark. Let's go deeper into the topic of backup power. Power banks are the base for the first few days. But for long-term autonomous existence, you need heavier artillery. If you own an electric bike, its battery is a treasure trove of energy. Lithium-ion or lithium iron phosphate assemblies have an enormous capacity. Through a step-down converter or a DC to DC converter, you can power a router and charge phones for weeks. The key is to monitor the voltage using a voltmeter or through a BMS board to prevent a deep discharge, which would ruin the battery. Lead-acid batteries from a motorcycle or a car are also viable. A 12-volt motorcycle battery is relatively light and easy to place in a room. Connect a car charger with USB outputs to it via alligator clips, and you have a reliable charging station. If you critically need 110 or 220 volts, use a car inverter. However, remember the physics. The inverter itself consumes part of the energy for the conversion process. For charging a phone or powering an LED strip, it is much more efficient to use direct step-down boards for 5 or 12 volts, bypassing the AC outlet entirely. This will save you up to a third of your precious charge. Safety and sanitation. In a blackout, the risk of infection and domestic injuries increases sharply. Hospitals will be overcrowded or dark, and ambulances may not arrive due to non-working traffic lights. Your home first aid kit must be expanded. The main threat is intestinal infections due to hygiene and food problems. Stock up on sorbents, rehydration salts, and broad-spectrum antibiotics. An expanded set for wound treatment, chlorhexidine, high-quality bandages, patches, and hemostatic tourniquets is mandatory. Any minor scratch in unsanitary conditions can lead to serious complications. Sanitation is another critical front. The sewage system will quickly clog without water. Do not flush waste with your meager supplies of drinking water. Use heavy-duty trash bags. Place them inside the toilet bowl. Do your business. And add a little cat litter. It absorbs moisture and odor perfectly. Tie the bag and take it outside to a designated area. Finally, remember that darkness is a friend to those with bad intentions. Strengthen your door. Always have a powerful tactical flashlight with a strobe mode within reach. It can blind an intruder and give you seconds to react. Your self-defense tools should be placed where you can grab them in total darkness, with your eyes closed. However, your greatest resource is decent neighbors. Organize. It is much easier to organize a watch in the hallway, exchange resources, and go for water as a group. The lone paranoid does not survive. The organized group does. If this guide helped you prepare, please subscribe, like the video, and comment below with the most essential item in your emergency bag. Stay ready and stay safe.